One of my favorite ways to get vocals to cut is to use a saturation plugin. This is going to help the vocal stand out on top of the other elements, and it's going to add some more harmonic content to the vocal that actually isn't there in the first place. And what this does is it basically lets it stand out and lets your voice cut through the mix, which is exactly what we're after when it comes to mixing and mastering. If you wanted to figure out exactly how to do this in the context of your own setup, I'm going to show you today in this video. Are you ready? Let's go. So this is a really simple tip, and the logic here is pretty simple as well. Ultimately, what we're doing with the saturation plugin is we're creating additional harmonic content based on the original sound. So whether you're using a vocal or something else, the same logic applies. In a way, it's almost like an EQ and boosting the higher frequencies, but it's doing things a little differently because an EQ is ultimately taking what's there and increasing it in volume, whereas a saturator is looking at what's there and then creating new harmonics or fundamentals, however you want to look at it, new frequencies in a way, and essentially, creating these and enhancing them, which allows you to get that same sort of illusion as an EQ, but a little bit differently, a little bit more colorful, and a lot better, a lot smoother in my opinion, because sometimes you can boost things with an EQ and it's not going to give you the result that you want. It might make things harsh, brittle, etc. Those problems are not going to be completely absent when it comes to saturating stuff, but I find if you saturate in a very subtle way, it's going to enhance what's there. I'm going to show you exactly how to do this in the context of my mix, but before I do, I want to ask you to please subscribe to the channel, hit the bell button, and definitely leave a comment below if you like what you're learning here. Every time that you share this with someone, it's going to help my channel reach more people, and that would really mean a lot to me because honestly, I don't do any marketing or anything for this. I'm just trying to make great content to help you sound better and make more money with your music. So let's get into this here. I got this track here. You might recognize it from some of my other videos, but I'll just play it for a moment. And this already has the saturation on it. And I don't want you to worry about what I'm using. I'm actually going to do this with a few different plugins, both paid and free, just to show you, ultimately how it works and how to achieve different sounds using different plugins. So let me play this first. This is the example, and I'm specifically using Plugin Alliance's HG2MS plugin here. This is a saturator plugin. I'm actually going to leave it off and I'm going to turn it on after. So, when you see it all just dark, that means it's not in. And when you see it all light up blue, that means it's in. All right. So check this out. I'll play it and put it in.
I don't know what to say, just pass the J up on the left side. These days these people talk, they quick to tell you what's on their mind. Problem is I don't care, what's mine is yours, I share it all. And I can't call it, but ain't stopping till I got it all. I don't know what to say, just pass the J up on the left side. These days these people talk, they quick to tell you what's on their mind. Problem is I don't care, what's mine is yours, I share it all. And I can't call it, but ain't stopping till I got it all.
I kind of A-beat it a few different times, a few different parts, and ultimately what's happening is you can definitely hear it becoming a little bit more louder, but overall you can hear it becoming more present, the vocal that is, right? And that's exactly what this is on. This is literally just in my vocal chain on my main hook vocal here. Very stripped down song, not a whole lot of vocals, which is great. There's not a lot of competition for attention, but in this particular case, I've put it directly onto the channel. I've dialed in, about 70% saturation on this plugin, which is quite a bit, and I'm adding just a little bit of the pentode and the triode. I find this adds a little bit more low-end content. This one adds a little bit more high-end content, and I've dialed back the actual output on this plugin. All right, now typically this is set to 50%. We're at 55, and on this one we're set to 56, and we're again set to 50 typically in a default state. I am using the alternative too, but let's not worry too much about this. It's not really about this plugin. I just want to break this down for anybody that has this plugin. But ultimately what I'm really doing is I'm dialing up the saturation, adding this new harmonic content, which is allowing it to cut more. And if you look down here in the bottom right, you see that I got my parallel mix actually dialed back. So it's not 100% wet. It's not 100% saturated going through this plugin, right? It's, a blend of both the original dry, unprocessed vocal with the combination of this. So this is a bit of a fancy plugin, you know. So maybe let me do this again and show you how to do it with something a lot more simpler, maybe even something free. So I'll put you onto a few different things here and show you what I'm talking about. So I'm going to deactivate this plugin, and the first one I'm going to show you is a stock Pro Tools plugin. So the Pro Tools users, you're going to like this, but don't worry, if you're not on Pro Tools, I will show you another alternative right after this. But this is the Lo-Fi plugin. A lot of people like using this. You might have seen this. It's one of those stock plugins that's just always going to get some action, and I still use it to this day. I'm not always using the black box. I might, rely on this quite a bit. And it's really, really simple. Really, I'm only using the distortion and the saturation functionality here. And all I really want to do is add a 0.1 of each. All right. And the reason why it's a 0.1 is it's such a small, subtle amount. We're not trying to go crazy here, because if I push both of these extremely, what's going to ultimately happen is it's going to start sounding really distorted, saturated. And that might be cool if you want that as an effect. But what I'm trying to do here is add this in a transparent way where you don't really know it's there, but ultimately it's allowing that vocal to cut a little bit more. So let's see if I bypass this, and I just dialed this in like a scientist. I just put 0.1, 0.1. I didn't even listen to it, and you should listen to it, but let's just see what happens with just this small amount of an addition on the distortion and the saturation. I'll bypass it and put it in halfway through.
I don't know what to say, just pass the J up on the left side. These days these people talk, they quick to tell you what's on their mind. Problem is I don't care, what's mine is yours, I share it all. And I can't call it, but ain't stopping till I got it all.
So I A-B'd it a few different times there, and it is a little bit more subtle than the last one. The last one was a pretty noticeable difference, But even still, with this, you definitely hear the vocal becoming a little bit more warm, a little bit more, on the top end, some stuff coming out there, some frequencies coming out there, and it's just allowing it to cut just a little bit more. Just for example purposes, let me push this and just show you maybe what you don't want to get, okay? And this is why I keep it, at 0.1 on each side. So let me start with the distortion and just push it aggressively, and you'll see, what's going to happen. You might get that Kanye, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy sound, but it may not necessarily be what you want. Check this out.
I don't know what to say, just pass the J up on the left side. These days these people talk, they quick to tell you what's on their mind. Problem is I don't care, what's mine is yours, I share it all. And I can't call it, but ain't stopping till I got it all.
So just with the distortion, you can see when I push it extremely, we're getting a lot more of that low-end emphasis, almost like a proximity effect type of sound. And then when I really push it, you're really getting that distorted sound, right? I don't want either of those. But the interesting thing is I could potentially push this more than a 0.1, and get a good effect that sounds very usable, that isn't noticeable, but just enhances the vocal, right? Let me dial this back down to 0.1, and let me do the same thing, but with the saturation here. So check this out.
I don't know what to say, just pass the J up on the left side. These days these people talk, they quick to tell you what's on their mind.
So obviously the saturation, a lot more aggressive, right? I can't really go maybe even beyond 0.2. Even 0.2, you start hearing some weird stuff happening with the sibilance and stuff like that. This is not what you want, right? I'm just doing this on purpose to show you what to avoid doing, because we want to do this in a much more subtle way. So now let's say that you don't have Pro Tools. What are you going to do? I have this free plugin here from Softube. It's the saturation knob. You can go out there and you can download it right now completely for free. And this is it here. Very simple, one knob interface, and you choose your saturation type, keep low, neutral, or keep high. When it comes to vocals, I either leave it on neutral or I leave it on keep high. All right. The keep low, to be honest, I'm rarely using that on anything, but maybe that's something you may want to use on basses, etc. But this is a vocal tutorial, so let's focus on vocals. So I'm going to play this again and, start here at the off position and just slowly dial it in. But what you're going to find is with this plugin and with all saturation is less is more. You don't want to go too crazy. Don't want to push it too heavily. Just a little bit just to help your vocals cut, and that's all you need. All right? So let's try this out of the neutral position first, and then maybe I'll dial it in on the keep high instead. We'll play with both, see what sounds best, and, figure it out. So let's check this out here. Maybe I'll take it out of solo mode and put it in.
I don't know what to say, just pass the J up on the left side. These days these people talk, they quick to tell you what's on their mind. Problem is I don't care, what's mine is yours, I share it all. And I can't call it, but ain't stopping till I got it all. I don't know what to say, just pass the J up on the left side. These days these people talk, they quick to tell you what's on their mind. Problem is I don't care, what's mine is yours, I share it all. And I can't call it, but ain't stopping till I got it all.
So that seems to be the spot, about 8 o'clock, you know? And you could tell when I started going up a little bit higher, you're really getting the presence of the effect, which is not what I wanted. I don't want my S's and my T's and stuff like that to get all messed up. I just want to, again, enhance the warmth and enhance the presence of the vocal, and you do that by doing it in a much more subtle way. Just for example purposes, let's switch this from neutral to keep high, and I might ultimately play with the saturation level once again, because now this keep high is probably only going to be affecting the higher end of the frequencies, whereas the neutral was doing a little bit of the lows and a little bit of the highs. As a result, we might not get as much warmth, but let's see first, all right? So putting it into the keep high, and I'm going to play this and do the exact same thing.
I don't know what to say, just pass the J up on the left side. These days these people talk, they quick to tell you what's on their mind. Problem is I don't care, what's mine is yours, I share it all. And I can't call it, but ain't stopping till I got it all. I don't know what to say, just pass the J up on the left side. These days these people talk, they quick to tell you what's on their mind.
So you can see we could push this a little bit more because we're just keeping the high end, and you know, we're able to achieve a really, really cool effect here, or at least a lot more presence from the vocal. Some people are definitely going to comment and say, hey, this is just getting louder. It is getting louder for sure, so I might recommend that when you do this, you obviously readjust your gain. You know, the cool thing about the black box is that it has an output volume knob, so I can actually reduce the output. But ultimately, we're achieving the sound that we want. And if you are introducing some higher end harshness, you probably want to pull back on the saturation, not go too crazy with it. Or if you do like what you're getting, maybe going in there with an EQ after and sculpting some of those frequencies, you know, getting rid of some of that harsh stuff that might be affecting things. But overall, you can see here 3 different plugins, 3 different ways to ultimately enhance a vocal. But the main goal here is really just to put a saturation plugin onto it and just tickle it. Do a little bit of stuff. Don't go too crazy. Don't overdo it. And you'll definitely end up with a vocal that will cut more in your mix. Hope you got value out of this. If you did, please like, subscribe, and share. Leave me a comment below. Let me know what you thought. And definitely let me know if you want to see something in the future. And I'm looking forward to helping you guys again soon. I'll catch y'all later. Peace.
5,